Thank you very much. This is not the first time that I will contest for this office. I contested, and I was a very forceful contender in 2014. I lost to a friend, Austin Alege, that year, but I came second. I have a settled idea about this profession, the legal profession. I am beginning to feel that maybe my idea about it is overbloated. Maybe my idea about the legal profession regarding the standard we should be is beyond what is achievable. But I also said to myself that that cannot be, going by what the legal profession used to be in the past. If all that any leader of the association is able to achieve is in repositioning this profession to what it used to be in the past, it would have done a lot, even if it cannot take it a little further. Let's look at this from practical points of view. By the time we came into this profession, respect for the legal profession was as a matter of course. Honor and dignity for the lawyer was a presumption. I will tell you a story. I have a friend who is a lawyer and also a senior advocate of Nigeria. His father was a judge of Oyo State High Court. Many years ago, they were passing in front of Ikeja High Court at GRA. They were inside the car. He said when they got to Vine Church, immediately after the Vine Church building, you know, the High Court is on the left, his father removed his cap. He bent down in the car, and the young boy began to wonder. When they got to the front of the state hospital, the man put his cap back, and the son asked a question from him. Why did you have to do that a little while ago? He said his father told him that that was the High Court of Justice of Her Majesty. He was not inside the court. He was not before any judge. But just because he was passing through the front of that building, he felt compelled to pay that kind of respect. Do we have it today in this country? On the reverse side, let me give you another life experience. Some 2 years ago, we were at the 10th year anniversary of the death of Chief Kayode Shofola SAN. And issues bordered on judicial corruption and what have you. A justice of the Court of Appeal, in her contribution, said, please, you see me at the airport or anywhere outside, you want to greet me, don't say my lord. Just greet me, madam, good morning, or sister, good afternoon. Some people laughed. Why? She said, immediately somebody is introduced today as, this is justice so and so. The presumption is that it's one of the corrupt judges. They are all the same. She said, I don't want that stigma. Can you compare the two situations? But that is where we are today. That is as regards the judiciary. As regards us as individual lawyers, the Nigerian society today believes that the legal profession is part of the problem of Nigeria. Just last week, the ruling party was fighting over ex parte orders and what have you. So, where did we go wrong? And when did we descend to this abyss of depravity? Today, in our profession, parties go to court, forgetting that two parties fighting in the courtroom are in a contest, and the two of them cannot win, unless, of course, you settle your matter out of court. One is bound to win, the other is bound to lose. The one who wins will say, thank God Daniel has come to judgment. And the one that loses will say, oh, the judge has taken bribe. What will you say is the level of the trust and confidence of the Nigerian people in our judiciary today? What is the contribution of the lawyers themselves to where we are today as a profession? These are some of the reasons that made me to say something has to be done. As far back as 2014, I sat down and identified some of these problems. Between 2014 and now, it's about 6 years. The situation is worse today than it was in 2014. In terms of respect for the profession, in terms of independence of the judiciary, in terms of confidence on the part of the judges that they are doing that which is right. The judges and the judiciary as an institution is under constant harassment by the people. Is that what you find in other nations of the world?
So in specific terms, should we elect the president of the bar? What are those things that members should look out for?
They should look out repositioning of this profession. They should look at a vibrant and dynamic Nigerian Bar Association that will be a catalyst to change some of the ills I've mentioned to you about. I was part of this system when the going was good. I still know that I have a friend who is not just a medical doctor, but a distinguished medical practitioner who is still enviable of the legal profession today. Are you getting me? The Nigerian Bar Association must be a catalyst to advance the cause of the society. And that was why Sapara Williams, many years ago, said that the legal profession exists for the advancement of the society. How much of that advancement now are we doing? How much? Take our own members as a case in point. I've been a member of the body of benchers for about 16, 18 years now. A life member for about 12 years. And I know that we produce about 5,000, 6,000 every year, up to November last year. Has anybody sat down to think about where these 6,000 every year will get absorbed to work? Has anybody taken the data, statistics, of how many law chambers we have in this country that are capable of absorbing these people? Has anybody sat down to say, okay, some of these people that have virtually become victims of a situation they did not create for themselves, we can help them by transiting their knowledge acquisition into economic empowerment by taking 1, 2, 3, or 4 steps. Nobody seems to be thinking along that line. I've had cause to say that if I see a candidate who is persuaded by the things I've noted down as capable of addressing the problems and the challenges of the legal profession in this country, I will step down for him or her. But I have not seen one. We continue to mark time. We do not allow time to count. I will give you a few examples of what I think I can do. There are 2 fundamental objectives of the Nigerian Bar Association. One is their corporate responsibility to the society, and second, their membership responsibility to members of the profession. Corporate responsibility to the society will be talking about defense and the protection of rule of law. How much of it have we been able to do in the last 6, 7, 8 years? How much of fundamental human rights of the people have we been able to defend as an institution? Today, we are battling with obedience to court orders and judgments. Should we still be at that level in the 21st century under a constitutional democracy? That is with regards to our corporate responsibility. What of our responsibility to our members? I've talked about the wanderings, the unemployment, the loss of hope and hopelessness of young members of the profession. And these are the leaders of tomorrow. A good number of them now are finding things to do other than the practice of law. Now, can you imagine a situation where somebody, as a leader of the association, says, we set up a trust fund where young lawyers can access soft loans, come together in 4s or in 5s, start a partnership. You'll be surprised of how far that can go. I intend to lay the foundation of many prosperous legal practitioners. The first thing I will do is to set up this trust fund that will be available to 5 people, 4 people. You go there, you access the loan, and you are able to set up an office. We will also try as much as possible to either, if we cannot construct immediately, we will rent apartments in some strategic locations and convert it into a hub of legal activities for junior lawyers. Something like a pavilion, where you don't have to pay rent for the whole building. If it is just one small apartment that you go there, you do your work, you don't need to engage the services of a secretary as a permanent staff. There will be an apartment for secretaries where you can go, they will type your job, and you are practicing as a lawyer. And by the time you get to a particular level that you can rent a place, you go ahead and do that as individuals. But if you can get about 5 of you with some reasonable experience, this trust fund that I talked about will be available to you. All right? Now, some of us know that even in this country, the National Union of Journalists, they have an estate arrangement for their members. There's a very big estate, very close to us here, They call it Journalist Estate. What stops us from having a lawyer's estate in some of the state capitals? I will not live to live in that kind of a estate because I already have a place I'm living. But if the association can use its clout and we have a leadership with relevant contact and connections to acquire parcels of land in different locations, this land can be plotted out and be assigned to young lawyers who can then pay over a period of time. That's an option. Another option is to get a developer outright and let a developer, develop the estate into different units, which lawyers can buy according to their financial ability and capacity. Has anybody thought of that before? Today, a good number of them have told me that they don't even have the confidence of approaching police stations to say, our client is here, and all that. Because they complain about police brutality and harassment. No police will harass you now, you are a senior member of the bar. None will harass me because I'm a senior member of the bar. Today, every dictum and Harry prepares affidavit in the courts. Every dictum and Harry incorporates companies at the Corporate Affairs Commission. Today, you can prepare a deed of agreement, in respect of purchases and what have you of land for maybe 10 million, 20 million, 50 million, and you charge the client 500,000, he will be negotiating you down. And before you know what is happening, he has taken his matter and goes to another lawyer. Another lawyer will be ready and willing to accept 150,000 naira, thereby undercutting their own members. Because people have over the period forgotten institutional history of the association, they don't even remember that there is what we call legal practitioners remuneration fee prepared some years ago over the issue of deed documentations and what have you. These are areas that we need to look at in order to take care of our profession. So in summary, why am I contesting the MBA election? I'm contesting because I want to strengthen the relevance of Nigerian Bar Association to all its members, both senior and junior, but particularly the young lawyers. Number two, I want to take proactive and sustained efforts to change this negative perception that I've elaborated on before. If you continue to do the same thing the same way, you will continue to get the same result. There's a need for us to do something differently so that we can get different results. Thirdly, I'm going to vigorously pursue the defense, the protection, and the promotion of rule of law in this country. And of course, I'm going to defend and preserve the independence of the lawyers and judges. Thank you very much. Within the very first NEC meeting of the Nigerian Bar Association under my leadership, it will be an item on the agenda. A nation can endure unbelief. If you like, believe in God. If you don't like, don't believe in God. But no nation can endure injustice. Everybody wants justice for himself. Justice demands equality of all persons. If we are all members of the legal profession, I pay my bar practicing fee, you pay your bar practicing fee. I pay my branch dues, you pay your branch dues. We are in the same profession. We belong to the same association. Why should you enjoy some rights and I will be denied of such rights? Why can't they have representatives at the NEC, at the National Executive Committee of the NBA? Somebody some years ago cannot say two things before he will say, you cannot shave my head in my absence. If you are not there, you are not there. We will give them opportunity to have representatives on the neck of the NBA so that they can articulate their problems. There is a provision of the Constitution that says they cannot do this, they cannot do that because they are in employment. If, for example, I am a member of the Law Officers Association, if I'm a director in the ministry, and I want to contest for the president of the NBA, why should I be restrained from contesting? If in the course of discharging the responsibilities of that office, my employment, the demands of my employment contradicts the responsibility of that office, I have to choose one. You get my point? The desire for me to choose one should not make you to say, no, you are not likely to choose rightly, and so we will stop you from contesting. You know, equality is very important. And this is not going to be limited to Law Officers Association only. A unified association. In unity lies our strength. Today, MBA is more divided than ever before. Very divided. There are enemies even within. Some of these things I talked about. And I'll give you an example. In 2019, there was this issue of the removal of the former Chief Justice of Nigeria. No, not removal, the trial of the former Chief Justice of Nigeria. Why some people were arguing very vehemently that process should be followed, due process should be followed. Let there be a petition to National Judicial Council. Let there be this, let there be that, and then subject to the decision of National Judicial Council, there can be an arraignment. A few people said, forget about due process. What due process are you talking about? And went on and went on and went on. Lawyers. The totality of the legal profession is founded on due process. Nothing more, nothing less. At the end of the day, what happened? It was the National Judicial Council that finally resolved that matter one way or the other. You get my point? So there is a unity of purpose. I am not saying as many as we are, we should always reason the same way. But we have to elevate the profession, the ideals, the values, and the virtues of the profession over and above individuals. The other thing that I'm going to do differently is to really sit down and get us to look at our justice system in a holistic manner, to really attest to the veracity or otherwise of this generalization that all judges in Nigeria are corrupt. We need to investigate it. We need to separate the wheat from the shaft. If you have 300 judges and 4 of them or 3 of them are alleged to be corrupt, why must you judge the standard of the 197 with the standard of 3? It is a misplacement of judgment. The way you dress is the way you are going to be addressed. The members of the legal profession must sit up and defend their profession. The judiciary is an anointed institution. The judges are representatives of God on the earth. So I am going to put together a justice summit. Judges, come and say what you know about what is going on. Lawyers, tell us your own position. The beneficiaries of legal services, the people, the NGOs, let's come and reason together. From the aggregate of opinions we are going to have in such a summit, ideas will be generated. These ideas will be captioned into a recommendation, which can be driven through the institution of National Judicial Council and then get some of our laws amended. We need a conscious X-ray of where we are so that we can determine where we are going. And the same thing is applicable to legal education. I've had a discussion with a lecturer of law, first in the university, and I took him to task. Are you aware that some of the people you are teaching law don't even want to practice it at all? Are you aware that the contents of our curriculum is not reflective of what is going on outside? Surprisingly to me, they said they were aware. What are you doing about it? Nothing. The second summit I will set up is the Legal Education Summit. Let us x-ray our legal education. Let's produce men and women that can gainfully employ themselves instead of roaming about the street for want of job to do many years after they were called to the bar. We need to do something. We need to go clinical. I've asked a former director, deputy director general of the Nigerian Law School to prepare a dossier for me on this. He talked about rapid assessment of the present situation, and he made some very serious suggestions, which I would not like to disclose at this point, to let you know that my ideas are not just imaginary ideas. They are workable ideas, and they are things that can give sense of belonging to the young lawyers. They are things that will instill hope in place of hopelessness, direction in place of drift, and reposition the association itself as a veritable catalyst of moving our nation forward. know me, as Dele Adesina, I'm never worried about anything. My primary motive for this involvement is to serve the Nigerian Bar Association. Even if it happens at the end of the day that I'm rigged out, I will not complain to anybody, talk less of going to court. I will come back and serve this Dele Adesina and co. To be the president of Nigerian Bar Association is a big sacrifice. You are virtually on sabbatical from your practice. You understand? But, like I talked or I said before, injustice, nothing breaks a nation, nothing breaks an association, nothing breaks a family than injustice. All right? That is one of the sub points of this profession today. Have you ever heard that members of the Nigerian Medical Association take themselves to court over association's election? Have you ever heard the National Union of Journalists, the Korean Council of Registered Engineers of Nigeria, has any of them alleged corruption, rigging in their elections? And we pride ourselves to say we are the learned and the most honorable profession. Where is your honor? Where is your honor? Why the fight to finish for leadership of an association that is tenured 2 years? Why? Why is struggle for leadership of the NBA piercing the association into different factions? Are you aware that a good number of those who supported Obi Okafor at that time are not participating in terms of contributing ideas or whatever to the current administration? Is that to the benefit of the association? Are you aware that the 2 elections that have been done under online system ended in litigation in court? Are these adding values to our association or is diminishing our values? We need to sit down and think. And that is why my hashtag for this campaign is securing the future of the legal profession. I look beyond the NBA. I'm seeing NBA only as a platform, as an instrument to positively affect the legal profession. My vision is large. And from my Christian background, and belief, my faith, I believe impossibility is the language of mediocres. There is nothing impossible if the will is there. You see, again, I will start by saying you cannot give what you don't have. If you are a man of honor, then you can give honor to people behind you. Leadership is about influence. Leadership is about solving problems. Leadership is about service, nothing more, nothing less. And when you look at leadership from this understanding, you will never make it a do or die affair, as some candidates are making it today. No candidate will say, or aspirant will say, Dele Adesina has said something wrong or lied against him. But they do that every day. One even instigated a petition that I should be disqualified. Of course, he quickly went on social media to dissociate himself. And some people replied him. I did not personally reply him. What is going on is reprehensible, is condemnable. And I hope the umpire will enforce their laws and instill discipline in the process. I'm not unaware. They put any price. Incidentally, some of them will call me back. They even use some other things as a bait. which I will not like to mention here, because for me, I still pride this profession. If you see all the interviews I've granted at one point or the other, if they ask me, Mr. Adesina, what would you have been if you are not a lawyer? I've always said, I don't know what I would have been. I've never thought of any other profession. So I will never say anything or do anything that will bring the profession into disrepute. Some of the things you have said are what are going on. Scandalous expenditure because you want to serve your association for 2 years. Purchase of young lawyers because you want to serve for 2 years. The young lawyers, like I said before, are the leaders of tomorrow. They are the present foundation of this association. There was the time we were also junior members of the bar. When you corrupt the profession from this foundational level, I don't know what it will be in future. Have you ever seen a house without a foundation? The strength of a house the strength of a house is a function of the foundation. The young lawyers are the foundation of this profession today. So when you introduce them to inducement, when you do not allow them to take decisions on factual parameters and basis, you are destroying the profession. In January, I think 31st of January, I don't know the date exactly, I was addressing some young lawyers in Abuja, in Calabar. I did the same thing in Abuja. And I told them in Calabar, I said, you are about 34 here. If I give you 100,000 naira, that is just about 3.4 million naira. I said, if I don't have that, there will still be people that can borrow me, that can loan me 3.4 million. I said that maybe you spend 100,000 naira in 2 months, and one of them interjected and said, in 2 weeks, it's gone. I said, I will rather teach you how to fish than to give you fishes to eat. I will try to ensure that institutional welfare, programs are put in place that will put fish on your table through your own hard work. That is what leaders do. Leaders don't buy people. They sell themselves. I had cause to call somebody on phone as late as Saturday night. I said, look, you are close to this person, to this aspirant. Can you tell him to market himself to Nigerian lawyers instead of demarketing Dele Adesina? Let people be able to put you on the table, put me on the table, put the other candidate on the table, and then take a decision. You don't pull anybody down because you want to rise up, which is what is going on among some aspirants today. Forgetting that if you put out the candle of somebody, that does not make your own candle to shine brighter. The capacity of candle is limited. There's nothing you can do about it. You get my point? Let me just stop there. First, I was very active in the administration of Alawa Kabashorun. I was active in the administration of Charles Idehe, now Chief Charles Idehe. He's still alive. I was active in the administration of Lanke Odogiyan, Prince Lanke Odogiyan, who succeeded Chief Bayo Ojo, SAN. I was active in the administration of Chief Mrs. Priscilla Kuye. In fact, Chief Mrs. Priscilla Kuye raised the banner, the bar of rule of law, very, very high. None of these people was a senior advocate of Nigeria when they became president of the bar. Are you getting me? I was active in the administration of Sir Clement Apangbo. All right? Chief Wole Olanipekun was president when I was general secretary of the bar. Mr. Rotimi Akeredolu, now the governor of Ondo State. Olisa Agbakoba, senior advocate of Nigeria. All these are senior advocates. Are you getting me? People are fascinated, by the administration of Olisa Agbakoba, by the administration of Wole Olanipekun, and others, just as they were fascinated by the administration of Alao Akabasharon, Mrs. Kuye. So, with these comparisons that I've made from a personal knowledge and participation, please believe me if I say that your ability, your capacity, your capability, your conviction of courage to act as president of Nigerian Bar Association has nothing to do with whether you are a senior advocate of Nigeria or you are not a senior advocate of Nigeria. That you are a senior advocate of Nigeria does not render you incapable of performance. Neither does it increase the capacity of a non-senior advocate of Nigeria to perform. Are you getting me? Yes, sir. Performance is a function of capacity. If you don't have capacity, you don't have it. It's a function of courage. If you don't have courage, you don't have it. It's a function of capability. It's a function of life experience. It's a function of the amount of information at your disposal. Information is the tool to effecting a positive change in any society. This has nothing to do with your status. Are you with me? Now, having said that, in addition to what I've said on capacity, capability, and those things, then we come to your own personal person. It is an issue of what you know, your knowledge, your experience. You get my point? The honor, the integrity that you display. Because the character of any organization is a function of the character of its leadership. If you have these qualities that I've mentioned, which, pardon me, if it amounts to a modesty, which I have in abundance, all right, you will be a good leader. You will be a good leader. Wole Olanipekun was a senior advocate of Nigeria. He led the delegation of Nigerian Bar Association to the president at the time at the villa. And he made a suggestion that why is it that when an election is conducted, when a candidate is coming in for the first time, we usually have peace. But when there is another election for re-election, there will be violence and what have you. The challenger wants to win. The sitting governor or president wants to win. Because of this experience, he suggested one term of office for executive positions, president and governors. I can't remember whether it was 5 or 6 years that he suggested. And the president at that time got angry, visibly angry. He said, nobody can come to my domain to come and take away from me what the law has given to me. And he went on and went on. Wole Olanipekun stood up and said, Mr. President, I led this delegation to this place and I can lead them out. I'm not used to being threatened. He was a senior advocate of Nigeria when he did that. We lost 2 members under questionable circumstances in Anambra State, Onitsha. Not just 2 members, husband and wife, murdered on the street of Onitsha. We rose against it like a roaring lion. We said, never again will the lives of lawyers be cut short because of their belief. The husband was the chairman of Onitsha Bar at that time. And because he allied with the labor union of the state in the agitation, that incident happened. Onitsha witnessed a crowd of lawyers they had never, and they will perhaps will never witness. He was a senior advocate of Nigeria. just like Alao Akabashorun rose up against military dictatorship. Alao was not a senior advocate of Nigeria. Mrs. Kuye, like I said, was not a senior advocate of Nigeria. She rose up against military dictatorship and ensured that orders of court that were hitherto disobeyed by the federal government were all obeyed. We were the foot soldiers in 91, 92. I was the secretary of Ikeja Bar. You get my point? She wrote an endorsement for me about, I read it in the papers, on the social media, that as I was one of those that was behind the administration. A whole book was written on how Mrs. Kuye fought for rule of law during her tenure. A whole book was written by Ayo Olarewaju of Ganifa and Miss Chambers. That book is on the shelf of so many lawyers. So, the summary of it all is that the argument is unnecessary, it's uncalled for, but we need a credible leadership for the Nigerian Bar Association. It's not an ambition. I will not abandon my move. So, question of recommending anybody out of the two, it's not on the table. Thank you very much. Mr. Paul Usoro has been able to take the bar to where he believed he can take it to. All right? Number two, he has been able to focus on some areas that were hitherto not focused upon. Very critical areas, which include but are not limited to accountability. He has put accountability as his watchword, and I think this is very key to the success of any leadership. All right? Recently, he has also focused on the plight of the young lawyers by setting up the Dr. Wale Babalakin's Welfare Committee. And by the way, I've called Dr. Wale Babalakin that he's going to continue with that job when I get there as president. Now, he has also put together a law pavilion which young lawyers can access without pay for a whole year. Those are the kind of institutional welfare programs that any leader must put in place. Those are the kind of institutional programs. It is institutions that build the destiny of nations, not individuals. There's a little individuals can do, particularly when your tenure is only 2 years. But 2 years can also be 20 days. 2 years can also be 20 years. If you do something that will be lasting and that will stand the test of time. I'll give you 2 examples. We spent only 2 years between 2002 and 2004. And today, the establishment of section of business law and section of legal practice has remained a legacy. We left that office about 16 years ago. 2004, 14, yes, about 16 years ago. Can somebody come up today now to say, I am eradicating section of business law, section of legal practice? Instead of that, we have had an administration that also put in place, speeded, section on public interest litigation. You get my point? So that is the kind of thing that leaders must do. Mandatory continuing legal education has also come to stay. That was a legacy put in place 16 years ago by our administration. Leaders must think of programs that can outlive them, that will be in the overall interest and benefit of the followership. And then your 2 years can be 20, your 2 years can be 200 years. But if you are just the board of passage, your 2 years can be 2 days, depending on the assessment of people. So, with regards to the current administration, in the areas that they have focused their attention, there are things they have done that I will continue. I want our members to know that lawyers do not exist for themselves alone. First and foremost, they exist for the betterment and advancement of the society. And that is why the motto of the MBA is promoting the rule of law. I am going to focus a concentrated attention on defending the rule of law in this country. I am going to put in place a legislative advocacy group that will liaise effectively with the National Assembly in the making of laws. This group will make sure they attend all public hearings about or on any bill that is going through lawmaking process in National Assembly. I'm going to set up a very strong rule of law action group that will focus on the breach, the compliance, or otherwise of the rule of law. A rule of law action group. I'm going to focus or bring about a strategic collaboration between the Nigerian Bar Association, the International Federation of Women Lawyers, the Law Teachers Association, the Law Officers Association, with a view to addressing their peculiar needs and objectives, affording these specialized bodies to take advantage of the umbrella of Nigerian Bar Association to actualize their goals. I'll give you an example. Today in this country, sexual violence, rape is becoming a thing of the day. Why? It has gotten to a point where MBA has to get involved. Some of these problems can be sorted out by mere educating the society. We're going to ensure that states in the country also domesticate the child's rights and make them effective. On the streets of Nigeria, states and some other places, you see young boys and girls who ought to be in school hawking groundnut. And when you say you are not buying, they will say take it for free because they wanted money at all cost. When we make the state governments to live up to their responsibilities, only a few states have domesticated the child's rights. The issue of discrimination, gender discrimination is another issue we cannot leave to the feeder alone. We will collaborate with them to ensure that some of these things are fought. You'll be surprised that some of the things that we engage our attention are the simple things that road traffic. If you leave this office now, before you get to Maryland, you will see somebody driving on the wrong lane. You see somebody overtaking anyhow. There's no discipline on our roads. All these are functions of lack of effective maintenance of law and order. What is MBA doing? If it cannot collaborate with the police to ensure there is effective maintenance of law and order, if it cannot collaborate with prison officials, which we now call correctional centers, and really make it correctional centers by thinking out strategic ideas that will change the face of our correctional centers. Are you getting me? The work is there. It takes somebody who has the information to work on this information as the raw materials and bring out ideas that will change the present situation we are in. Ideas rule the world. It is not money. Those who believe that it is money that that must rule the NBA, they are making a fundamental mistake. I just pray that they don't fall for the temptation of voting for money in this election. Every nation or society deserves the leadership that they get. That will be my last word.